Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen. As-salatu was-salam ala Rasulillahi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Halam wa salam bikum. Assalamu alaikum rahmatullahi katu lil ikhwani fati fi din. Salamu ala mani taba huda lil ikhwani fati fi Africa, Europa, America, Caribbean, wa kulli makan. Okay, my dear brothers and sisters on Zarama, Jembe, Jemwali, and I'm going to be covering a topic today, brothers and sisters, that I feel is very, very needed. And this is directed to my brothers there in northern Nigeria. And with the growing and the insanity of the insurgency and all of the byproducts is overwhelming. And we have to look at what we can do to quell this increasing violence. I start thinking for the last couple of weeks, analyzing our ancestral fathers and the Fulani Sultanates and why they were so successful, why they became wealthy, but not only in material wealth, but wealth and knowledge. And they received the divine favor from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And they made sure that the power structure was the checks and balances. They would say, the American government system, checks and balances. Well, we had that well before there was America. And those checks and balances resulted in what we had is a body of we had a leader, and then we had the leader surrounded by trusted advisors. You don't have this today in West Africa. You don't have this today in any of the Muslim states. Maybe Saudi Arabia, we can say that. And maybe Brunei, no one talks about that. Maybe there as well. But most all the Islamic states are void of this. They may have people around them, but they don't have the nucleus that allow them to prosper. And so I started thinking about this. And one of the things I said to myself, we have to go back. We have to do a reset because the growing insurgency is not waiting for us. We have to figure out solutions to stop the banditry and the brigandage that's going on in northern Nigeria. And some of my brothers on Facebook have said it right. It's not only the Fulani. You have the Yoruba, you have the Tiv, you have everybody, even Christians. Everybody it's a lucrative business now. Banditry is, kidnapping. You have every group, but the Fulani are the main ones that everybody concentrates on. So today I'm going to be covering something, brothers and sisters, that will help us figure out what we can do to quell the violence. I started thinking about how our ancestral fathers, how they handled banditry, because you got to remember something, the Sahel and the Sahara. Banditry is not new, brothers and sisters. They were bandits in the 1400s. They were bandits in the 13, 15, 16, 1700s, 1800s. They always had bandits. That's something, and kidnappers. They've always had that. But in those days, they used to have the banditry. They would hit caravans, rich caravans going from the south to the north and from the north to the south. And you see some of our programs, I talked about the Hespa police who would man the Sahara and they would watch out for bandits. And I gave you the story of the great Modibo who encountered about 100 of these bandits out there right on the outskirts of the Sahara Desert. They was coming back from the Sahara Desert. They had just made a big raid where they had raided a caravan. And this caravan was coming from the north down to the south, and they raided it, took its wealth, killed many people. And this Modibo showed up out of nowhere, and I gave you the story and the history behind that. So we've always had banditry, but we had a remedy for it. We don't have a remedy right now for the banditry and the brigandage that's going on in northern Nigeria. This is a problem, brothers and sisters. We have to. So I'm going to address this issue in a couple of segments. This segment today and another segment, inshallah ta'ala, and then maybe a third segment. But I'm going to address this because we have to address this to my brothers, my cousins there in Nigeria, because you have the Nigerian government, not the government, excuse me. I'm not going to say that. Our cousins there in Nigeria. Okay, let's look at it from this standpoint. Their influence is mighty, is great. When Nigeria is suffering, all of West Africa actually suffers as well because it's very populous and it's very influential. And this is something that we have to admit. And we have a big problem when Nigeria is sleepy and lethargic and it is not managing its problems. The problems of the Fulani insurgency and jihad is growing as we speak. And Nigeria has a chance to put it to rest to a degree, but the government is not allowing the process to actually flourish, and this is a problem. Our brothers in northern Nigeria are in a unique position if they are allowed to actually work out this problem, but they're not. So I got to thinking about this. Only thing I can do is advise because I'm on the outside looking in. I don't live in Nigeria. But these are my cousins, the Fulani who are there, and and northern Nigeria is a stronghold of the Fulani. So therefore, we have to look at this, and we have to look at the history and so forth. And we have a lot of banditry going on in kidnapping. So let's get into this. And I'm really saddened by the latest developments. We've had peace offerings, and then our Fulani leaders are killed on the way home. We've had Fulani leadership ambushed and killed. We had Fulani leadership kidnapped, even by some other of the other Fulani bandits. And so we have many of these aspects, and we have to do something, brothers and sisters, to quell this. And I'm going to get into that right now. If I can get okay, here we go. Here we go. We start here. Yes, sir. Here we go. Okay. Now, brothers and sisters, I have thought about this deeply. The Batu Maudo, in other words, in English language, it's called the Council of 40, essentially. Our ancestral fathers ran this system, and it was designed to help. We need a Council of 40 to go to Abuja and go there and make certain demands, but go there under certain pretexts as I'll be laying out here. So today's presentation outlines the path toward a formal activation of Bantu Maudo. We are committed to ensuring our heritage survives the pressure of the modern age. The Fulani heritage is taking a beating. The name Fulani, we know it's not. I use this term Fulani is a universal term. Why? Because everybody knows. If I say Fulbe, a lot of people don't know what Fulbe. If I say Pulo, definitely they don't know that. So if I say Fula, they don't know this. But everybody around the world, and you hear the word, they know the word Fulani. So I have to use this. This is the first step on the road to a more secure future in its path that requires collective wisdom of our best minds, serving only the will of Subhanahu wa Ta'ala. We are going to get into this. We are under pressure. You have the Western, and then you have the colonial West African governments. Neither one wants to remember Allah in its governance. Our ancestral fathers remembered Subhanahu wa Ta'ala, and they governed under his laws. The council that we're talking about now, as you get the understanding of it, stressed this, that the will of Allah is greater than the constitution that's in Nigeria or in Ghana or any other place. We recognize that the current paradigm of banditry and brigandage continues to flourish because of a systematic four-way disconnect. the government, the ulama, the security forces, and the public. These four entities are all going different directions. This allows for the banditry and the brigandage to continue. The brigandage and when we look at under the Sharia law, we know the brigandage is muharaba in the Arabic language. Muharaba are the people you see in Hadith. Our Nabi alayhi was very harsh about their punishment. And the brigandage is those who waylay people out in the open. They go on the highway, they rob them, they kidnap their father, they kidnap their women and hold them for ransom, steal wealth. This is what we call brigandage. It's out in the open, and they raid villages that are out away from the city. This is what they call about brigandage. And we know this under the Sharia law as muharaba. So these pillars are currently acting in isolation. The people don't trust the government. The government doesn't trust the people. The ulama is quiet. The security forces are running amok. They are being controlled by the colonial government, plus they are being controlled by the Western powers. And then the public, who are the victims. They're sitting there, they don't know which way to go. They go left, they go right, and then this misinformation that goes on in the public, and the public blames the Fulani and saying that the Fulani is responsible for all the turmoil in Nigeria, which is not the truth. So the Batu Maudu is an answer to the fragmentation. By concentrating our collective wisdom, we will bridge the disconnect elements into a single cohesive front. Our mission is to move beyond current failures of independent action, establish unity necessary to bring peace to our lands, guided by the law of the Creator, which is Subhanahu wa Ta'ala. This is important aspect, brothers and sisters, the unity. The four factions, the government, the ulama, the security forces, and the public, we all must be on one, in the same sheet of music, so to speak. We're not talking about religions-wise, because in Nigeria you have many different religions. We're not talking about that, but we have to have a common ground in order for us to move forward. Right now, we don't have that common ground. We have a four-way disconnect, and it's like they're going in different directions, and none can really trust the other, and so forth and so on. And this is a big problem. And as we look at this again, as I break down the Council 40, this is a very important aspect. The Council 40 is Fulani. It's the Fulani Sultanates. This is where we ran our governments, and why it was so successful. Because why? The Council 40 advised our ulama and fuqaha. Okay, they were the advisors to the prime minister, or whomever you want to call it, the sultan or the emir. They were surrounding him, and they give him advice. So we have banditry. We would list this problem. The Council 40 would get together, and then you had other aspects of the government, which we have a Sharia court. So there was justice, brothers and sisters, and justice was quick and it was brutal against the bandits and the brigandage. And so forth and so on, and the muharaba, it was very vicious against them, and that's why we had a society basically that had no crime. Because if you went and kidnapped and you got caught, and you be examined, of course, you'd be brought to the Sharia court. The Qadi is what we call this in the Arabic language. The Qadi would examine these 3 or 4 people who were caught, ask them, why did you do this? And they would have to give a plausible answer to this. They could have their lives saved if it's verified that they were forced into this business by another entity that came to their village and said, look, I want you, young man, and if you don't do what I tell you, I'll kill your family, I'll kill your kinfolk, I'll kill your wife and your children. So the young man set out and on the orders. The Qadi would hear this, verify the story. He would not kill them. Not kill them, I shouldn't say. He would not have them executed. So this is a difference than in the Western courts that you see today, where a black man doesn't get any justice. He's always on unequal terrain, and a lot of times he's accused of something that's not right. In the Sharia law, the innocent is always given the first priority. In the Western law, it's not that way. It's the exact opposite. If you were black, they always prove that you did it first before they try to prove your innocence. A lot of times they won't. They'll withhold the evidence. See, this is one of the things in democratic process. No Muslim should be talking about democratic process because it's a conflict to the laws of subhanahu wa ta'ala, which we've talked about that many times. And we must see this action, because if you don't have a remedy in northern Nigeria, this is going to happen, brothers and sisters. See, this is Mali now as you see it. Mali has graduated now into a full-fledged jihad where you have the Tuareg and you have Fulani. They are killing anyone and everyone as we speak. This injustice has went on so long after 9/11 that they got tired, and now you see you have a full-fledged jihad. You have the Tuareg who wear the traditional blue, and you have the Fulani who wear white, and sometimes they wear blue as well, but they wear brown, they wear different other shades of their robes, and they wear white turbans, and then they have this machete that you see here, this brother here getting ready to kill this Russian mercenary, and they have this big machete, and then they have the AK-47 and whatnot. And this here is the Kidal. I talked about this a couple of weeks ago. What happened in the southeast of Mali, where they overran the place. This is an old time battle, brothers and sisters, that actually occurred in Kidal, where you had hand-to-hand combat. You don't see that today in modern times. The Americans use downrange bombing. People bomb off, from 40, 50, 100 kilometers away in drones and all that. And you may have mop-up actions with the special forces, so forth and so on. Here you had they seized Kidal, and they had hand-to-hand combat, and they basically massacred, executed the Malian soldiers, plus Russian mercenaries were also executed. And then those who were spared were allowed to leave, and they left all the equipment. You heard me talk about that. But this situation, brothers and sisters, could erupt even in northern Nigeria. We have the Americans there. The Americans just said they took back some of their military and so forth and so on, but they still have military there. The situation, I'm gonna tell you right now, if they don't do something, you're gonna have the same situation as you see here. The Nigerians, our brothers, are not having it. Okay, nobody wants to see the Tuba there. They just don't want to see that. They don't want to see them there. You're gonna have a situation like this, where they're going to send a bomb downrange, which they've already started doing. And they killed a bunch of Fulani villagers and herdsmen and their families. You're going to have a situation like this in northern Nigeria, where the Fulani herdsmen, Mujahideen groups, militias, and maybe even some bandit groups may come together for an incident that was so outrageous, and they'll go to attack the army base that's there in northern Nigeria, in that area, and they'll attack Americans anyway, because when the Fulani and them, there's reciprocity, it's time to fight, they fight. And when they fight, they're vicious in their retribution. And we could have a situation like this. And believe me, these brothers, as the Russians will have testified, are not like any of the people they fought. They fought in Afghanistan, they fought in other places, they fought in Europe. They have never encountered these type of people. They said before. They didn't talk about the color of the skin, anything like that. They were talking about the viciousness and their zeal in attacking them. And he was talking about how strong they were. These guys were strong, and he said they had a style of fighting because they're not used to hand-to-hand combat. They're used to shooting from long range with AK-47, howitzers, and with drones. But they have not, they practice hand-to-hand combat, but they haven't had hand-to-hand combat really to be implemented at. But the brothers here have hand-to-hand combat. So in the Sahara and in the Savannah region, a lot of times there's a lot of hand-to-hand combat. So now they're at a disadvantage. When the brothers stormed the place, they dealt with the Russians and so forth, and it was hand-to-hand, and the brothers were just relentless, man. They start cutting off heads, they start cutting people up, and whatnot like this. And over a lot of this is because of what the Russians and the security forces did to Fulani women. They raped them, and then many were sold up into the Sahara Desert. So what I'm trying to say is northern Nigeria could be close to this area. Because why? The Americans are there. They're putting bases places. They're going out and they're starting to kill a lot of Fulani everywhere. You're going to see reciprocity. Somebody's going to call for a jihad, and you're going to have Fulani come in there, and then you're going to have a situation as you have in Kidal, like this, and they'll storm that base and they'll kill everybody in it. I know my people. I know how they are, and when they go in this fringe of revenge and reciprocity, they're unforgiving, as the Russians told in there. And if you look at Russian news, if you no, you don't understand Russian. It's not in English. The Russians have a station where they deal with Africa, right? I catch it now and then, here and there, and also they have something because of my YouTube now and then. I'll see statements of soldiers talking about what happened in Mali, and I'm telling you, they talked about this. These are people who were wounded who won't be going back. And they talk about the viciousness when they encountered these guys. When it came to hand-to-hand combat, he said they were vicious. This may erupt one of these days, brothers and sisters, in Nigeria, in northern Nigeria, if they don't get a handle on this. So as we start to look at this, and so today we stand today to revive the Mejlis Arba, the Council of 40. This is a structure handed down by our fathers in the Messina. We did not revive this out of nostalgia, but out of necessity. The council was not creation of man, nor is it the creature of the state. It don't belong to neither one of them. It is a body that answers first and last to Allah. We have brilliant cousins in northern Nigeria, brilliant scholars. It's time for them to get together. I'll get into that. We have to have a Council of 40. We have to have a nomination of a core group, which we'll talk about that, who will travel to Abuja and to deal with the government in the ways of remedying the situation that we have, which is starting to move south. So this council, again, is not a creation of man. We hold that the protection of human dignity is a sacred trust, and we will defend this for every soul. The Council of 40 is not only Fulani. It's not just protect only Fulani in this way of life. It protects every Muslim, every non-Muslim in the region, because they're still human beings. The Council of 40 was advisor to the Emir, and everybody had justice. The farmer who is Tib, he has justice when he's violated by Fulani. Fulani let his cattle come and eat up his crops. He can go to the Sharia court, and a Sharia court would not turn around and say, well, hey, you're Tib, and get out of here like they do today. Whereas the exact opposite, the Fulani has no recourse, and anything happened to them, they can't go to court. Furthermore, we recognize the grave reality of the growing insurgencies that threaten our land. We see chaos that has taken root. Our council does not approach this as a military force, but as an intellectual, spiritual authority. We are here to bring sense to the crisis, to identify its roots, and to offer remedies rooted in the wisdom of our tradition. We serve as a primary facilitators of peace, working to quell these fires within our communities, because we know that the true stability comes not from the barrel of the gun, but from the restoration of justice, education, and social adhesion. So again, brothers and sisters, the council, and I'll give you some depictions what I'm talking about. The council is here we go. The council, as you begin to get your council, you have the wisest of Fulani. Okay, you have the wisest. We will start in a selection process, and first, many of our scholars and our intellectuals are not up on the history of the Fulani. And they may be Fulani, they may not be up on the history. But we have Madibo, these 5 Madibo here, who will educate them, and they will be selected to form the council. They're older, they're wiser, they have no play in it. This is not a paid job. This is not something where they're under the table money. Here, they will answer to Subhanahu wa Ta'ala, and they will form a nucleus, and this nucleus will be 5 selected Madibo. wise, older men with a lot of wisdom. They will in turn begin to formulate to get the council together. And these men here are highly trusted for their wisdom and their in Islamic knowledge. This is what we talk about here, brothers and sisters. And this the first nucleus to form the Council of 40. It's them who will pick the selected scholars and intellectuals to form the council. You have to have this element. These guys won't be on the council, but they will be advisors to the council. See, this is how we start this, because we need to get representation in Abuja. We need to get a cohesive organization to go to Abuja to begin to deal with the government there to find solutions to the problem in the north. And this starts here with the council. With this council here, they go as one body, they go there, and then the ball can start rolling, and we get things going against this growing insurgency and whatnot, because it is absolutely disgusting what has happened. The five Madibo will then in turn begin to talk to the imams of the masjids. They begin to talk to rank and file people in the region north, in Kano and Kaduna, Jos, and I mean different areas, and they begin to talk to important figures to explain about the council, what the council is. So everybody will be on board, everybody will be supportive of it. And you have the five Madibo who will be picking the 40 selected scholars, students of knowledge, the Silitiji, and so forth and so on. And they will pick them, and here they start to discuss with imams of the masjid and start to explain to them about the Council of 40, explain about the Fulani history of how the Sultanates, how they had this Council of 40 who were advisors. They were the go-between. You had the public on one hand, then you have the Amir on another. They stood in the center, and when you had gripes about something that's going on in an area, you would take it to the Council of 40. The Council of 40 will then hear the complaint. Hezbollah will investigate it to verify it. Then they would take these complaints to the Amir. If it was a criminal matter, they would take this to the criminal courts, to the Sharia court. So this is again, brothers and sisters, this is one of the first starts in getting the healing process and getting us to how can I say, start the process of trying to get a unified body to go to Abuja. Here, they're also briefing security forces, because security forces have to be brought on board. They have to explain that the Council of 40 are not politicals. They're not being paid by the government. They're not being paid under the table by the Americans, anybody else, and that they're no threat to public order. These are wise men. These are educators. These are scholars of Islam, and they're Fulani, and they're the best of us. And they're not in competition. They're not a criminal organization. They don't carry guns. They don't have military behind them. So the Madibo here, you have the head Madibo who's talking to the police to advise them of the council, so that way they'll be on board too. They will not consider, they don't understand what the council means. They may think the Council 40 is a Mujahideen group. They're not Mujahideen. See, these are scholars and students of knowledge and wise men and so forth and so on who are looking for the betterment of the community, because we have a problem now. Everybody in the community must be brought on board to explain what the Council 40 is. Here, the head of the Madibo, he is talking now to the police and security forces, so they'll be on board, so they'll have an understanding on what's going on. So this is the important aspect, again, brothers and sisters, on why we have to do something in northern Nigeria. We need to get off our rear ends and do something, and not sit there and be quiet about it, because the thing is, it's exploding as we speak. We got new groups coming up. We have people being kidnapped. We have killings, and then we have people not talking. We have a lot, and we'll get more into this, but there's a lot of disconnect. And as you heard me say, there's that four disconnect: the government, the ulama, the fuqaha, you have the security, and then you have the public. All four are in a disconnect right now. Nobody's working with the other. They talking at one another, but they're not working together. And that's something, brothers and sisters, that we must get that stopped. So as we start to look more into this, every member of the 40 holds a secret trust within a specific community. Your authority is rooted in the adherence to the Sunnah. This is important. Every person of the council, of course, they'll be staunch, hardcore Muslims, meaning not mujahideen fi sabilillah. We're not talking about that. We're not talking about AK-47 mujahid. No, we're not talking about that either. Here they be trusted, wise scholars in the community, like my cousin here, Sheikh Gumi, and Sheikh Bala, Sheikh Sokoto. You got Sheikh Sambo. All of these are great men, well-rounded, wise, and very educated men. We're talking with that, and their adherence to the Sunnah, and their accountability is measured by the protection of those entrusted, to their care. When we convene this 40, we do so to ensure that each individual efforts are synchronized by the truth of the revelation, meaning the Quran. We will symbol, but our guide is not the Constitution. Our guide is the Quran, is the revelation, is the Quran. This is our guide. This is what we use. The institution beyond politics. We do not seek recognition from the halls of the power in Abuja. The 40 is not designed there to look and go under the table to receive kickbacks from the government. They're not there for that. As the foundation of our legitimacy, our legitimacy is written in the hearts of our people and in submission to Quranic law. Shall we eventually engage with the state, we do not as subjects seeking favor, meaning money, special privileges, but as a formal body of the ulama, fulfilling our duty to preserve peace and faith in the land. This is, again, why the 40 is a very, very important. And as they get ready to go to Abuja, then these things will be revealed, and it will then help to quell some of the problems we have. We have spoken on the path of the risk and the secure trust that rests upon the soldiers, our shoulders. We seek divine guidance and favor from Allah. That's the first thing. We're not seeking some adage from the Constitution. We're not seeking money from the West. We're not seeking to have some portions of allocation from the government with money to fill our pockets. We're not talking about that. We're not looking for that. We seek guidance and favor from Allah. The Council 40 is not merely a choice, but a divine responsibility that addresses the urgency of the time. We have an urgency, don't we, brothers and sisters? We have a great urgency, especially in northern Nigeria. And this Council 40 is there to address this. And they address this with mentioning of Allah and his laws, see, and holding to Quranic law. That is the key. To my brothers and peers who bear these words, understand that the revival of this council is not an invitation to comfort, but a call to duty. Our ancestors in the Messina did not look away from the communities facing dissolution. They had banditry. Sometimes the banditry got out of hand. So they looked to find solutions to the banditry. Sometimes they fought them and killed them outright in the Sahara Desert. Other times they arrested them. Some were saved and then they were reinstituted back into the community. Others were not. See, so they found a remedy. The time for hesitation, for integral grievance, and for passive observance has ended. We have too many ulama. We understand what's going on. I get more into that can't talk and afraid to talk. And that's part of the problem. This is not a matter of prestige. We're not looking, the Council 40 is not looking for headlines. It's not looking to have their names in the paper and have a picture of them. That's not what they're there for. This is a matter of a trust we will answer before Subhanahu wa Ta'ala. We are the ones who must stand between our people and the darkness of the ear. The people today are running amok. They are running under democratic and secular laws which favors the devil. It doesn't favor Subhanahu wa Ta'ala. And so we have to bring our people back to the laws of the Creator, and not secular law and not laws of man. We have to find a way to bridge this gap, to take the devil out of the equation. This is, again, a matter of trust. If you are a man of knowledge who recognize that our survival depends on our unity, if you are a guardian who values the dignity of your neighbor as much as your own, which is Islamic custom, and if you are prepared to set aside the burdens of the past to secure the future of our faith and our children, then the door is open. The council is open to you. We want valuable scholars to volunteer for this, and they have to have the right mindset. This is not a call for scholars to come so they can get paid. We're not looking for that. We look for those who will answer to Subhanahu wa Ta'ala, and they will go to Abuja to present demands to Abuja, where we can have some type of thing where we can bring these groups together to the table and stop the growing insurgency we have. So this is, again, why we have to do something now to start starting a situation where we start to get our ulama and fuqaha there inside northern Nigeria, get them together, get this council of 40, get the Modivo, to get the 5 trusted wise men. They begin to pick out and start to nominate certain scholars until we have a body of 40. They will be examined. Again, examination will be from the Aqidah. Remember, you can hear me say this many times, why I don't join any groups. It's the Aqidah. The council, the Madivo, will examine me when they say I'm nominating Al-Hajj Yahya Shabaka Al-Sudani Al-Fulani. That's me. And they will bring me to talk to the Modivo. They want to see my Aqidah. They will test me on my Aqidah and see where I'm at. If they find me deviant, I'm out. This is not a takfiri. This is not takfir we're talking about here. Here, the council will be examining my Aqidah. They'll be asking me questions about the Aqidah. They want to know. They'll ask me, what about the Wallaha wa Braha? I would have to explain that because that's part of our Aqidah. They would ask me questions about the Aqidah. Say, you have a disbeliever here and you have a believer. How you explain this? And I would explain it to them. If they ask me such a question, they say, well, here's the Wallaha wa Braha. You explain something. Here you got a disbeliever here, okay? And you have he's an enemy combatant. Then you have a believer here. I would explain to them. I said, we would love for the sake of Allah, and we hate for the sake of Allah. This is the core of the Wallaha Braha. See, this is again something that our Aqidah will be examined. So they will get each one and examine the Aqidah. They'll ask them questions. This is what we're talking about, brothers and sisters. And the Aqidah is an important aspect. And that is, again, a situation where the devil here, he's talking to these imam here. He may have some imam here that he may want on that council. He goes say, hey, look, Muhammad, I need to talk to you, and you need to come before the council. We want to question you before we nominate you for the council of 40. And there your Aqidah will be examined. This is why, brothers and sisters, when people come up with the Tuba and the Muslims, secular Muslims, those who aid the Tuba, and when they come up with these stories about everybody's relates today, Q and IS, well, I sit and I always laugh. You hear me laugh about this because the first thing I always when these Tuba talk this crazy stuff about, he's related to them, and I asked a question. I said, what is my Aqidah? I say, have you ever questioned me on my Aqidah? They're not qualified to even ask me. Now, one question, I don't care how many times they go to the masjid and what clothes they wear. They're not qualified to even talk about the Aqidah, especially when I know what they're doing inside the masjids and the people they bring to the masjids and so forth. But again, the Aqidah is the key. What is their Aqidah? And they will be questioned, and the council will question them. If they pass the test for the Aqidah, then they know that they have the divine favor of Allah, and they may be nominated for the council. That's important, brothers and sisters. That's a very important aspect. The Aqidah is a very, very, very integral part to this. And we have the 5 Madibo here who will be selected we have a core group of men. They will be selected to deal with the council, meaning to nominate the council. These are brilliant elders here. Baba in the blue is the head, the Amin of the Madivo. He will be responsible for coordinating, and as each Islamic scholar, say Sheikh Gumi, I'm just saying, for instance, maybe he's nominated, or he could be the head Modibo. Most likely, which I would think him, Sheikh Bala, maybe Sheikh Sokoto. I mean, there may be others that I don't know about, cousins Fulani, and they will start to bring our trusted young men and those elders and bring them to the table to be examined by the Medibos here. And one of the biggest hurling blocks is the Aqidah. They want to know about Al-Haji Yahya Shabaka Al-Sudani Al-Fulani. They want to know his Aqidah. This is important. See, now we get into really Islamic talking here now, because the Aqidah is the key. If the Aqidah is not right, you can't be on this council. So now you're starting to get a picture, brothers and sisters, as I go through this series to explain this council and what it's for and why the Aqidah is an important aspect. Again, when people come with the thing of terrorism, our brothers should always explain it. They say, well, look, you want to say that I belong to IS and to AQ. Well, what do you know about my Aqidah? They can't answer that. All they can do is say, well, you have a turban on, you got black skin, you got a beard, so therefore you connected over here. That's not good enough. Because when they come with something like this, you ask them, so well, how do you know my Aqidah? Do you know what my Aqidah is? So what are you talking about? So you say I'm labeled to IS. These are the questions, brothers and sisters, that have to be asked. And our Modivo will ask a question like this. They will know when they begin to question the scholar and ask him, or the imam of a masjid who's wanting to be on the council. He'll bring forward this and ask them the Aqidah. It's imperative that they question about the Aqidah, which they would do, because that's important. And remember, you heard me say this, and I'll move on to this from this. You have the groups. You always be mindful of the Nabi alayhi salam, what he said, 73. 73 Islamic groups, 72 to the fire. That's chilling, brothers and sisters. That's chilling. Even the 72 have people look like me. Beards, turban, going to the masjid. They may be imam of the masjid. They may be the amin of a Jamaat Islamiyah, but their aqidah is wrong. See, that is the guess. All smoke and mirror, but when they come before the council, this is where the proof of the pudding will be, when they question about their aqidah. And we got the Dan here in the background, brothers and sisters. I want you to look at this. As we get ready to get this council, this is a problem, what we have here. And we have a failure of the ulama. We have to address this issue. To your left is some of the problems that many Fulani are arguing and screaming about today about the ulama. We don't know where they're at. We don't hear them. We don't know what they're doing, what they're thinking, because they're not talking. Many do talk, but they're grounded only in certain subjects about the Quran. Now we need leadership. Since this reticence left a void, young men begin to interpret a verse in the Quran, and they go to banditry, or they go to brigandage and so forth, because they can't get an answer from the ulama fuqaha about this. This here, brothers and sisters, it gives you a good explain. Here is on the right side is how our ancestral fathers from the 1300s to the 1800s, how they handled these crises and what made them far superior to our governments today. as you see here. See, and you see the prime difference between what's happened today versus the what happened in the past. And this is a very interesting analogy that you see here between them and whatnot. And this is why I was talking to a brother here the other day who wrote a beautiful piece in Facebook asking about this issue, why they're quiet, and this disconnect between the people and the ulama, fuqaha, and so forth and so on and whatnot. And we're all wondering why. I understand why many of them are quiet, because if you talk, many scholars will talk, suddenly you're accused of terrorism. If you talk about something, then suddenly you're accused of being with the bandits. And suddenly you're accused of being with Boko Haram or IS or AQ. And so they have mouths to feed. They have a family here. They have children. They have grandchildren, whatever the situation may be. They know that if they talk and say something, they could be arrested. This is a big, serious situation that not only goes to Nigeria, but it goes to other parts, to Islamic countries, where we have scholars who are held up inside the houses. They can't speak. And I know how that is. Just like what happened to me about a month ago when they told me to make ridda and deen, meaning apostasy. See, this is what they want. They want, and they demand that I go to make the apostasy. And they starting to do this now over here. I'm at it because they signed a big contract now with the American government. Now the Tubab forces walk around there, go after strong, devout Muslims, go after them with punks and thugs, and go after them and then say, hey, look, Yahya, you got a choice. You don't make ridda, then you stay in your house. We'll keep people around your house, and the minute you come out, they come to go after you. This is the type of stuff that's going on today. And again, brothers and sisters, we're in a weak state, and this is why the Tubab is allowed to do this. We go to people like me and then try to force me out of my own religion, see, and whatnot. And they're doing this, and then they say, well, look, okay, you don't want to make ridda, you stay in your house. And like in my case, I go out, they send a punk who demands something. He starts trying to fight with me over something. He demands for me to give him salam. We have rules in the Sharia law about giving salam to mujrimeen and so forth and so on. They don't understand it because they have no knowledge. But because they're working under the guise of the Tubab, and they earn the Maqaid, we call this in Arabic, Maqaid is shaitan, meaning they're being driven by shaitan. So they go after people like us and so forth and so on. And this is a very, very, very damaging situation that, is taking place, and we have to call it for what it is. And I will get more into this, and then I will cover this in more another time. The failure of the void. We must confront the reality of the void left by our leadership. When a young man he goes to the masjid. He's hurting. He just had his cattle rustled and stolen. He lost his brother, he lost his mother and father. They killed him. He needs answers. He is very, very angry right now. There's no place for him to get answers. Nobody wants to talk. Suddenly, some unqualified person comes to him and say, look, you're covered under Islam. Go get you an AK-47. And then now you start to come with us under our protection. This young man goes. He is indoctrinated into brigandage. They'll tell him, say, look, this is what we do. We wait on the highway. We watch cars go by. We find certain trucks, and then we go and attack it. Because again, this is some of the things that happen. And the current state of instability is not just a failure of security, but a failure of the ulama. This is true. Too many have chosen reticence over truth and quietness over the courage required to confront this banditry and brigandage. But we know why many can't talk. The government goes after it. If I stand here today, just like what's going to happen, you have the Tubab, who are liars. They'll sit there and look at what I'm saying, and they'll twist the words around. So now he's talking about, this is a coded message to go after the kingdom. This is what they'll do to create problems and whatnot. But we have smart enough people to sit there and they know what's going on here. But to make the point, too many have chosen reticence, meaning they're scared, and we understand why. Many have been threatened. They're too old. Maybe they're living alone now. They don't feel it's worth the time. And we do have something under the sunnah of the Nabi when the society is so bad and corrupted, you go retreat and stay under your walls, okay? You know, your house and your yard, and you don't go out. When the fitna is so great, many of them chose to do that. And they don't talk to anybody because of what has happened to them. So we understand that the silence was often forced and coerced by the state that demand compliance and penalized result. Again, I go to the masjid, they send a policeman undercover to come to me to tell me to leave the religion or force me out of religion, or they bring a thug to come to start something over me who has no knowledge, demanding that I give him a special salam, okay, a salutation to him when he's a mujrim, he's a criminal, okay, and he's working under the Americans, and and he comes and force me to give him this special recognition, which he does not deserve. But by retreating into the forced quietness, a dangerous vacuum was created. Into a void stepped unqualified, misguided youngsters who, lacking the grounding of true scholarship, misinterpret the Quranic law to justify actions born of emotion and vengeance. This goes both ways. Those who assist the Tubab will misinterpret. They'll take a verse and, hey, look, we found something. It gives me the right to go after Yahya. See, it goes both ways. Then the ones who want to go to be in the criminal element, they'll find a verse which they don't understand, and they read it and say, hey, look, now I found a verse that says I have the right and the revenge to go after certain people because my livelihood was taken. This is what we talk about. We need the ulama to come in and step in to interpret these things so that way we don't have this problem. When a young man is over here and he's got a tubab sitting here waving money in his face and look, you do this, I'll give you, 30 dalasses, or I'll give you 100 dirhams, or whatever the situation may be, to go and do this. You'll know, because the ulama will warn you about this. Is a part of what is called the Nawaqid al-Islam Ashra, which you heard me talk many times. And this is a rakam, number 8 in the Nawaqid al-Islam Ashra, talking about aiding the disbelievers against the Muslims. This is an act of real apostasy. This is a real act of apostasy when the disbeliever come to you and he give you money to go after Muslims. You cannot do this. Well, this is what we're talking about, because we don't have this type of training anymore. The Batu Maudo is the end of that silence. We do not exist to be coerced or silenced. We exist to provide intellectual, spiritual fortress that our youth are currently seeking in the wrong places. They just had something happen. They have a trauma. They don't know where to turn to get guidance. We have nobody talking. This is a big problem. Some do talk, but they're grounded only in certain aspects. You will see them in the masjid. They're grounded only in explaining the Quran. But when this young man comes and say, look, I had this happen, what should I do? Should I pick up the AK-47? There's nobody for him to assist. We will reestablish the standard of the ulama as they meant to be, fearless, grounded in divine, and in pursuit of justice. This is a valuable situation, brothers and sisters. I'll cover a little bit more of this and I'll stop. And we have the standard of membership, the covenant of integrity. There should be no ambiguity about this regarding the character of who seeks to stand with the council. We are here not gathering to indulge in habits of the past, the internal vendettas, hidden jealousies, and secret alliances that historically fractured our ranks are now merely human failings. They are obstructions to the truth and betrayal of the amana we hold. Even though they may be part of the scholarly class, there's jealousy that's among us. We have treachery among us. We have those who are working against their brother. There's others who are mad with another scholar because of a question of the aqidah. They differ and they stop talking to one another. this is what we talk about here. All of these Malaysias, we need to get under our belt and stop that. See, understanding this clearly, there's no place in the council for those who prioritize personal grievance over the survival of our people. Such behaviors find no refuge in the Sunnah or Nabi, Islam, nor do they have a place in order established by Allah Ta'ala. There are no traditions of our faith. They are diseases of the heart. They can't justify. They're mad. Okay, so me and Mohammed over here, we have disagreement about the Al-Qaeda and interpretation of it. So we don't talk to each other. But according to the Sunnah of Nabi Islam, we have 3 days, and that's it. I must give my brother salam. There's a difference between I give my brother salam here than the Muslim that's over here. The Muslim who's working with the disbelievers against the Muslims doesn't deserve the salutations from Allah. He doesn't deserve that because he's over hurting and he's working with the disbelievers against the Muslims. But my brother over here, Muslim, Aku Muslim, we differ on the Aqidah. So we get angry, we say words that we shouldn't say, and then we separate them. But after 3 days, we're supposed to come back and give each other salam. To be a guardian is to be a man of absolute sincerity. Therefore, the ultimate prerequisite for membership of this council is the total decisive abandonment of old vendettas and partisan agendas. Meaning, brothers who are in Kaduna may differ with our brothers in Kano. Okay, you understand? And there may be some brothers in Josh who have their own interpretation of something. All this type of stuff. The medieval must get all these together and put an end to these personal vendettas against one another and in the partisan agendas. Okay, some secretly are backing the government and all this type of thing. We have to, all that has to be ferreted out. We do not ask for perfection, but we do demand total transparency. We require that every brother who joins the covenant cleanse his heart of the factionalization that left our communities vulnerable. Because of our void, our communities are vulnerable to the devil and the devil's party. And this is what is killing us today. The groups that are operating as brigandage and branded groups are not being driven by Allah and the angels. They're driven by the shaitan and the devil. This is, again, why this void has got to be closed. If one is unable to set aside burden for the sake of the collective good, then he does not yet possess the discipline required to serve this council. You see where we're getting at. If he still he's mad. He said, look, I'm not going to join any of my brothers who are from Josh. I don't like their Akita. This type of thing like this, we have to stop this. We're here to build a shield. We cannot do so with hands that are still busy fighting one another. We don't want to have anybody on the council who is mad at another Muslim scholar or intellectual or imam, and they had their differences over the years, and then they still want to carry these differences to the council. Because the minute you bring a disease into a council and they begin to bicker, they start to seek aid from other scholars, and then now the council is destroyed. So that part of the discussion, and I'll go to another part of this, inshallah ta'ala, at another time to talk about the council, and I'll give you more about the Council 40. You do your research on this. And I wanted to cover a few more things, and I will close because, brothers and sisters, we have to get something that, I don't see the, excuse me, I don't see my, I don't see, okay, this is, again, I showed this the other day, but this is imperative why the Council of 40 is needed, brothers and sisters. When they go to Abuja, they need to address these issues here. We must have the Council of 40 who go to address the government to explain the grievances and why we have the insurgency, not driven by the West or by ethnic groups who misinterpret certain aspects and so forth and so on. This here is one of the issues why we need the council, and the council will speak for all the Fulani. They will go to Abuja to explain to Abuja. He said, look, you have this, you have security forces who are doing this to our people, and now they are retaliating, and this is the problem we have. And this is a very important aspect that is always looked at. And let me see here. I was trying to find something, brothers and sisters, that I wanted to share, and I don't see it here. I wanted to share something of something that is a recreation of a situation that happened, because I wanted to show this to you, but I don't find it here. I don't find it here. I had it. Boy, I don't see it. No videos. Oh boy, I don't know what happened to my videos here either. That's very, very interesting. I don't have that. I don't have it. But I wanted to show you the essence of the medieval the five medieval who will be picking are our most valuable members of the Fulani community. They are Baba, they are respected, they're deeply religious, and what makes them different than a regular Islamic scholar is not only their verse and they can read the Quran, they can speak the Arabic language, they can give you the tafsir of the Quran, but the nexus between the heavens and the earth is where they're valuable. See, they understand the portals and so forth and so on of the Sahara Desert. They understand the portals leading to the cosmos. This is why they're very important, and our Fulani scholars like this. The Mudibo is the best of the scholars, because not only he knows the Quran and everything else, but he also has that deep, deep understanding of Allah. That's very important. And so as we get ready to close here, I was trying to find this, but I can't find it. Boy, I don't know what happened to it, but it's powerful. Of course, no, this is not it. No, I already talked about that. I was trying to find this one video. I wanted to show this to you, brothers and sisters, because it was a old man who had his cattle rustled. Very sad case. I don't see it. I don't know what happened to it. But anyway, I will show this and I will get ready to close. You see the situation here, brothers and sisters. Northern Nigeria is housing Americans. The Americans are building forts out, in the Savannah region. Here, finally, the Tuareg and the Fulani, the Mujahideen, and the negotiations here, they surrendered. This is in Mali. This is some weeks back. And Northern Nigeria may experience this if they keep going the way they're going with the AK-47. The AK-47 didn't get them anywhere. The AK-47 brought them to this position, as you see here. The fort was surrounded by both Mujahideen, the Messina, and then the JNIM. That's what they call them, the Mujahideen and the Tuareg, and then there's the Azawad, which are the secular Tuareg. And they surrounded the base and whatnot, and then there was negotiations. And luckily, this particular situation here, they were not put to the sword, like in Kidal. In Kidal, they were put to the sword, and only a few were allowed to leave out and whatnot. Here, there was negotiations and so forth and so on. This situation like this, you see, could erupt in northern Nigeria if the Americans begin to kill a lot of Fulani, innocent Fulani. You may have a situation where the Fulani get tired of this and they start to join more Mujahideen groups, and then they go and they'll start to attack these fortresses and so forth, where you have foreign elements in it, like the Russians in this situation here. In the northern Nigeria, it'd be the Americans. And believe me, they will fight them if the situation becomes unbearable, where they start to kill a lot of Fulani and then start to ravish our women. Then it's only a matter of time before they'll start to go after the army base. They'll find the army base. They have spies out there. They know where the army bases are. They're hidden out in Savannah or whatever the situation may be, and they may be over into the northern, the southern edges of the Sahara, and they'll go over there to get them. Believe me, they will, and they will fight them, and they'll fight them to the death if it has to be that way. So, with that said, brothers and sisters, I'll get ready to conclude here on this segment, and I will cover more about road to Abuja, what is going to be required, and what is going to be needed. So I'll leave you with that, brothers and sisters. Assalamu alaikum. Rahmatullahi wabarakatuh.